show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! Oh, you got trolled, baby. Let's go. I have never been more excited, folks. Let's get ready to do this thing. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Now, look, if you've been listening to talk radio all day, I know you've been inundated with last night's State of the Union speech. That's all they're talking about. You're saying to yourself, Reese, I know, I've heard it all day. You ain't heard it like this. You have not heard it like this. Trust me. Go nowhere. Go nowhere. Boy, did the Democrats show up and show out. Come on, baby. You Democrats, you never fail me. You never fail me. And I'm so happy for you. I got no comments from the usual suspects. They sat there in awe, mouth agape. Are we really being trolled like this? Yes. Yes. Your representatives, they sold you out last night. They sold you out. And the man who made them do it is none other than the great Satan, according to you. Donald Trump, he exposed you. There were so many ways in which he exposed you. Or hell, your representatives, and I know that you guys scurried. You tried everything you could online. This is divisive. Really? Really? No one believes you. Before I get into my whole diatribe, I need to, one, I have to praise my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I do. I have to praise him. And I also have to thank God. I thank God because he don't make mistakes. God, he is the one who is expressing me. There is no such thing as coincidence. There is only God. Can I tell you the story? Sit down, enjoy, have a cup of tea. You're going to love this story. I'm telling you, I've been getting messages all day about this, but I have to tell you how it happened. It was the greatest. So my wife and I get home a little late. I got home roughly about 7:30 because I had to go to a Stop and Shop because the Aldi was closed, and that place looked like it had been, who did it and ran. It was ransacked because they were closed on Monday, and no one had done any of the sort of restocking of anything, because everybody went nuts for the snowstorm. So I had to find a Stop and Shop. So I found a Stop and Shop, and I went to grab some things, but I forgot some other things. Anyway, I was in a rush to get home because Roseanne was like, no, sweetheart, it's okay. Just come home. I just want you home. I made you dinner. It's going to get cold. And I got home, and I sat with Roseanne, and we ate dinner. Steak, by the way. But she made dinner. We sat down and we ate and we talked, and she was so happy to see me because she had been home all day and I had been at work all day, and she wanted to sit down, and we did, and we regrouped and we talked about our day and everything. And then as we were getting ready and I was getting ready, I said to Roseanne, hey, listen, I know you're watching your favorite movie. It's a Shirley Temple movie. I think it's The Little Princess was her favorite movie. When she was a kid, she was watching that. And I said, honey, I know you're watching your thing. Is that going to end soon? Because the State of the Union is going to be coming up really soon, and I have to watch it. I hope you don't mind. I'll watch it in the bedroom on this TV, or I can watch it in the living room, whatever you want. She goes, no, I want to watch it with you. I said, okay, that's fine. That's great. So, of course, we get to watch Jesse Waters live. Usually we watch him on DVR. But anyway, we start watching, and Jesse's doing the usual rigmarole, sort of the pregame, telling what's going to be said. Maybe he'll talk about who's there with Bill Malugin, which he did. Not that I was bored or anything, but I was just disinterested. And then I remembered, holy crap, there is something I can do before the State of the Union. I mean, we had mentioned it. The People's Republic State of the Union was happening right outside. I can't miss that. All the comrades joining together. How could I miss that? And I said, I'll just go to the Midas Touch web page, or at least YouTube page, and I'll go and watch it. Sure enough, as I turned to it, someone had just finished speaking. And I tell you, God does not make mistakes. I wasn't on that YouTube channel for 2 minutes. And then they said, coming to the stage is Chris Murphy. And I said, what are the chances? There are no chances. God knew it. I said, hold on, Reese will be here in a quick second. Okay. All right, he's logged on. Bring Chris up. So Chris makes it on the stage. Well, come on, folks. You all know what happened next. Chris Murphy got out there and started running his mouth, doing the usual stuff. And, of course, he got called out. He got made a fool of. And we'll get to that later. But I was watching it live, and I got all of these people who were saying to me, did you see Chris Murphy? And I'm like, trust me, God made it so I can see it live as it happened. We'll play that audio soundbite later. And I loved every bit of it. Roseanne and I, thank goodness you can rewind on YouTube. We rewound it 5 times. We wanted to make sure we captured every moment. And we did. And, hey, you know what? Chris Murphy, I just want to say, sir, you're America's scumbag, just so you know that. That was, like, from the whole event, that's what everyone's talking about. This guy wanted the limelight. He was the pregame show, and he became the whole show. Everything about this event was straight garbage. Jim Himes spoke at this event and got no burn. He actually had to post a picture of himself on Facebook to let people know he was there. Jim Himes, come on, man. If you have to tell people you were there, no one cared. And that's okay. As I said to him, I wrote it in his comment section, it's okay. The Democrats made fools of themselves without you. They clearly didn't need you to do that. They did that fine on their own. But before I get to the highlights, I like to say the lowlights, really. I want to play this because this is important to what I'm going to say next. 2 people, very good friends of mine, Craig in the car and John Beckman. Both of those men have contacted me within the last 12 hours. And both of those men said to me, Craig last night and John Beckman this afternoon actually, said to me this. Man, I have to admit, that may have been the greatest State of the Union I've ever watched. Craig said to me last night that he believed that he may have outdone Reagan at the State of the Union. And I was reluctant because I'm biased. You know, Ronald Reagan is pop. But I can't disagree with him. I won't say it out loud, but I think Craig is right. I think John Beckman is right. I just can't say it because I can't twist my mouth, as my mother would say. I can't twist my mouth to say that somebody did it better than Pop. But Craig did have a great point. Ronald Reagan was Ronald Reagan after the fact, if you get the point. Like, no one recognized him as who he was when he was in office. It was only after. We are witnessing a guy in real time display his greatness. And I want to play this as a testimony to that. This was the end of Donald Trump's speech. And I can honestly say to Craig and to John Beckman, here is the reason why you are right about what you said about Donald Trump last night.
When the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. From the rugged border towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
And that is the theme. That is the way that Donald Trump sees America. Now, I was talking to John Beckman about this, and a lot of people forget this. And I get it. Donald Trump does a lot, says a lot. But it's my job to remember those things, to sort of formulate the point. When Donald Trump was asked about Barack Obama and whether or not he had supported him ever as president of the United States and what caused him to, in essence, lose faith in Barack Obama, Donald Trump said one thing that stood out to me, and it remains the thing that stands out about his criticism. Donald Trump said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he believed that Barack Obama in his election would be a great cheerleader for America. Now, we all know what he meant by that. Not that he was going to be somebody, holding up pom-poms. No. The fact that Barack Obama could become president in the greatest country on God's green earth was a testament to how great we are. That he could achieve the highest office of the land. And that Barack Obama would take that achievement and cheerlead for the greatest country on God's green earth. But he did not. And what you saw last night, folks, was the cheerleader-in-chief of the United States. He is always talking about how great we can become. People always bring up that, he'll call us a dead nation. But what does Donald Trump do? Does he exacerbate the death? Does he dig it further into the ground? No, he fights that demise. He works to lift it, to reascend. That's what he does. No matter what you folks think about it, you don't have to like his policies, but ask yourself the question, is he working against the United States? He may be working against Ilhan Omar. He may be working against Hakeem Jeffries. He may be working against Chuck Schumer. But ask yourself a question. Donald Trump's record, or at least the stuff that he's interested in doing for the country, versus what Chuck Schumer is fighting for, versus what Hakeem Jeffries is fighting for. You see the contrast. I would even pose a question. Name the American thing that Chuck Schumer promotes. The American thing. Do you ever hear Chuck Schumer talking about the excellence of Americans? The exceptionalism of Americans? Never. Hakeem Jeffries even? No. No one on the Democrat side talks about that. Donald Trump does. Are any of them ever talking about how great you are? No. Hakeem Jeffries talks about how horrible you have it. All he ever talks about is your struggles. He never views you, Americans, as people who are resilient. He sees you as needy, without agency, who can't make it without government or them or their intervention. Donald Trump has a completely different message. And when you listen to these people talk about how much they hate it, it says everything about them and not about Donald Trump. I want to end on this before we go to a break. This is the most important thing you need to recognize, and we have the sound bites to prove it. Democrats are fighting Trump and not for you. That is evident in everything they did last night. And I want you to think about this. This is an important quote by Donald Trump in 2025.
I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, and these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what.
Because it isn't about the achievements. It is about the man who presents them. The Democrat Party has blinders on. And the scary part is that those blinders prevent them from seeing you. They only see the target. And that's Donald Trump. They've forgotten their role. And Donald Trump exposed them. He exposed them last night. And they fell for it. And that was the plan all along. When we get back, I will lay it all out for you. Because I know you've seen them all. We'll be back. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
Hey, we're back. Reese on the radio. As I mentioned before, God wanted me to see the Chris Murphy thing. I didn't even know he was going to be on that early. But there he was. I was just so happy, so happy. And I know everyone who listens to this program, thank you all for sending me the message. And they all said something along the lines of, Roland, they all kept saying things like this. Hey, isn't this your boy? I was so excited to receive so many messages from you. I guess I have done it so much that anything Chris Murphy does, I'm the first person you think of, which I have to applaud myself for. I set the precedent. Here he is, Chris Murphy.
To explain the trials and tribulations that every immigrant, that every refugee goes through to get here. And to press this country to... Get the border! I stuck in the border. Go Trump! Go Trump! Hey, Murphy, thanks, man. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, you're a scumbag, Murphy. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Snappy comeback, loser. It was just perfect. It was just perfect. I don't even know why I find it funny, but, you know, what are you going to do? I just thought it was great. Anyway, back to this State of the Union last night. If you don't believe people on the left, liberals, whomever, Trump haters, if you don't believe that you were trolled, I want you to think about it from this perspective. All anyone could talk about was when Donald Trump asked the simplest question. I mean, it's a question all Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, whatever. I mean, it's the reason you took the job is to represent the American people. I mean, that is the job. I mean, it's the reason why you have the word representative in front of your name. You represent the American people. So if you are asked a question like, I don't know, whether or not you'll stand in solidarity with the idea that the American citizens come before illegals and you don't stand? And what made it crazy is that you were given enough opportunity to do it. How much of an opportunity? Try 2 minutes. The applause got greater and greater, and you sat on your hands for the most basic question. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. He didn't ask you, stand with me, stand in solidarity with me. Do you represent the American people? Do they come first? And you are sitting on your hands. Now, under normal circumstances, we would cut the applause. But I need the Democrats to hear it in its entirety. And those of you who watched it visually, now I want you to hear it. Because watching it is different. Hearing it, you know how long it is. You know it doesn't end. It almost felt like it was getting louder and louder, because it was.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe.
Most important question! To get to see, he sets it up beautifully. The American people get to see what you believe. The sitting down, the standing up. That's what the State of the Union is about.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
We are at 30 seconds. "45 seconds. "1 minute. Still nothing. Minute and a half. Minute and 42 seconds. It's starting to die down. No Democrats standing. And if there were very few.
Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up.
And
you should be ashamed of yourself.
It's as simple as that. and you were trolled. You were trolled on the most basic of questions. It should have been fundamental. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. It had nothing to do with MAGA. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the people who you claim to be doing all of this for. That is a very good, important point to bring out here, because people were asked, why didn't you stand? The Democrats are reeling about this. And what I mean by the Democrats, I'm talking about the news media. They are reeling about this. They go, oh, how do you not stand? This is absolutely stupid. How do you miss that opportunity? Are you kidding me? You're going to get nailed. CBS, Major Garrett.
As we have Major here at the table, I want to bring the conversation back here to our group watching along. Major, you've seen a lot of these, I think, more than any of us. What stood out to you?
Well, look, before the speech, many Republicans said one of the priorities for the president was to make sure Americans after this speech had a sense that the opposition party was off the rails, was crazy, their terminology, not mine. Many of the contrasts the president articulated tonight were to drive that message forward. That not only do I disagree with the opposition party sitting before me in Congress, but I disagree with them so strongly and they with me so much that they can't even applaud basic common sense thing. And that line that you mentioned, that he added to the speech, whether it was ad-libbed or not, the first obligation, American citizens versus illegal aliens, was meant to create a visual moment of perpetual contrast.
And it worked. Scott Jennings, CNN.
I think the part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. It gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads, that Democrats wouldn't stand up. What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, I think that you know, it may have gotten a little muddled, but, you know, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job?
Isn't it that simple? Isn't it that simple? He knew it was that simple. Everybody knew it was that simple. Everyone did. And it's all anyone's talking about because it was the longest applause line. But can I let you in on a little secret? I'm not going to be surprised when it comes out. I think that Donald Trump planned every bit of that part. I believe that the word got out to the Republicans. When I say this line, it's not only stand up and applause, but let's show them exactly how it's done. Hold out on that applause. Make it ring. I think the whole thing was a troll. I think it was the most brilliant troll ever. Because they knew, I really do believe this. I believe whoever set this up knew that the cameras were going to be in that room. And it was going to show the people who sat down for that. And that is going to be the campaign ad. That's a midterm election ad. Remember the one ad that people at the Kamala Harris camp said drove them crazy in 2024? Do you remember what the ad was? Let me give you a hint. They, them. Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. In a nutshell, Donald Trump is for Americans. The Democrats are not. And they gave him a prize. I mean, literally, they wrapped it. They said, tell the American people that we do not stand for them over illegals. And people can try to twist it any way they want to, but they can't. When we come back, I'm going to lay it out to you exactly how they tried to twist it. 2 members of Congress, 1 representative, and if so, the leader of the Democrat Party, Chuck Schumer. I'm going to lay out exactly what they said in response to that. Because, again, the Democrats, the media, but I repeat myself, kept asking the question when talking to people, why didn't you stand? Do you understand what you did? What Chuck Schumer says will blow your mind. And I'll play that for you when we return. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We're back. Taking your phone calls in the next half-hour break. So if you're on the lines, please stand by. We'll get to you in a moment. So this line, Donald Trump, stand with me in solidarity that Americans come before illegal immigrants. Democrats don't stand, obviously, for what can be only described as a 2-minute applaud. They had applause. They had plenty of time to respond. They chose not to. It resonated. Obviously, it did. And then when Chuck Schumer was asked about it, what he said blew my mind because either he doesn't know how to respond to it or he's too stupid to. And I really have to believe the latter. Listen to this, and then I will dissect it. John Berman, CNN, asking Chuck Schumer, why didn't you stand? And again, why is John Berman at CNN asking this? It's because it was the moment of the night.
What did you think when he asked him to stand?
Bottom line is very simple. We agree we need to protect Americans. He's not. By his reckless ICE agency in Minnesota, 2 Americans were killed. Americans are being pulled out of their cars and beaten. Americans' houses, the doors are being knocked down, without a warrant. And no other police department in America, run by Americans, has done what ICE has done. So, yes, we want to protect Americans. He's not doing it, and that's why the American people are against what ICE is doing. So it was legitimate and right not to stand.
Do you understand how stupid that was? Do you understand how stupid of an answer that is? He is talking about Americans, in his view, that Donald Trump is attacking. So when Donald Trump asked the question of whether or not your first role is to protect Americans, clearly Chuck Schumer believes that, but then says that's why we didn't stand? He goes on to talk about 2 Americans getting killed. He talks about Americans getting dragged out of their cars. He talks about Americans having their door kicked in. And he, when asked the question, do you believe that Americans should be protected? His people said, no, we're not standing for that. How can both be true, Chuck?
What did you think when he asked him to stand?
Bottom line is very simple. We agree we need to protect Americans.
Then stand! If you agree that we need to protect Americans, if you agree, you should have stood.
He's not.
Because he's not? What about you?
His reckless ICE agency in Minnesota, 2 Americans were killed. Americans are being pulled out of their cars and beaten. Americans' houses, the doors are being knocked down, without a warrant. And no other police department in America, run by Americans, has done what ICE has done. So, yes, we want to protect Americans. He's not doing it, and that's why the American people are against what ICE is doing. So it was legitimate and right not to stand.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. Everything he said, he contradicted by saying we shouldn't stand for the Americans that we want to protect. The question was, do you believe that those Americans deserve protecting? It's not rocket science. It wasn't an SAT question. It wasn't even multiple choice. The question was clear. Senator, do you protect the American people? You're telling John Berman yes, but your actions showed otherwise. This is not a question you could ever twist both ways. It just doesn't work that way. Another young lady was asked, I don't know who this woman is. I've never seen her before, but her name is Janelle Bynum out of Oregon. Here's why she didn't stand. Apparently, she did not get a memo from Chuck Schumer. She said this.
Think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts.
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable for her to stand for American citizens if it was to denounce illegals. I love what Zach wrote in here. He says, it should be the most effective midterm campaign ad in history, and they didn't have to do anything to get it. They just had to let the Democrats be Democrats. It was that simple. But this is what happens when you keep expressing this blind, ridiculous, unhinged, and almost sort of ridiculous rage. You end up tripping over your own logic when you have to keep running to the next fire. The worst part is that it's a fire that you're setting and then pretending you're trying to put it out. But now there are too many fires and you're trying to put them out all at the same time. And you're running from place to place. You think you're putting out the blaze, but you're not dealing with it. And you're tripping over yourselves. And the blind rage of Donald Trump, where he knows that and again, this is so simple, as people try to call Donald Trump stupid, you actually see who the stupid people are. He said something very simple to them. It should be like third grade to these people. Don't you stand with the American people? Your constituents, the people who you swore an oath to? Stand with us and say that they're the most important. But here's what he also said. Who's more important to you? Well, they told us. Let's get to the newsroom with John Silva. We'll be back.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
We've got more reactions to the State of the Union coming up on the program in a little bit. Also, we have a guest today. We've got Cara Pavelak D'Amato, who's joining us on the program at roughly about 4 o'clock. She should be here roughly a little earlier. As you may know, that there's a session going on today. We'll talk to her about that. And, of course, the hearing that's going on Friday about no taxes on tips and on overtime. And we'll talk, of course, about the controversy with her ice-in jacket, of course, with the backdrop of the State of the Union yesterday. With all of that going on. So we got plenty of stuff to get to. By the way, don't forget, you can always go to reasonoradio.com. If you've got a comment, if you put in there real quick, if you can't get into the chat room on YouTube or you don't want to join the chat room, I implore you to join the chat room on YouTube. Or you could do it on X. But if you have a comment you want to go to, just go to reasonoradio.com right there at the bottom. You put in your name and leave a comment, and I get it directly to my phone, and I'll read it on the air. Or if you have a story that you want me to pay attention to, which people are doing, you can send it to me there as well. Let's get to the phones real quick. Let's take Bill in Granby real quick. How are you, Bill?
Doing great, Reese. I just wanted to call in and just say that I thought Trump's State of the Union last night was just a masterclass in exposing the Democrat communists for who they are. And while he was doing that, he also showed the best of what America is by giving out the medals of honor and the various medals that he awarded to the very worthy individuals and veterans that were there. It was just, he touched all the bases. He talked about the economic progress that we've made, the foreign policy progress. And I thought on the heels of that great speech that Marco Rubio gave to the European Union, where he got a standing ovation talking about the importance of European culture and European exceptionalism, that we need them to be great while we're also being great. Mm-hmm. And just the visuals of the Democrats not being able to stand up and clap for the hockey team and for all the other things that Trump talked about that are going so well, and especially when he talked about fraud, about the Somali fraud in Minnesota. And the two crazies, they literally looked like they had just been released out of an insane asylum, and they started yelling back at him. It was an incredible visual that is, I think, going to serve the Republicans very well in the midterms. That was a really stark contrast between what it means to be an American and to put your country first and what it means to be a communist and a politician that puts your ideology that is not based on liberty first.
The only reason why I want to correct, everything you said was spot on. There is one correction, though. Weirdly enough, a lot of Democrats, in fact, I only saw a few who did not. Most Democrats did stand for the hockey team, which was weird to me because when he then expressed all of these stories about, of course, the Ukrainian woman who was stabbed in Charlotte, North Carolina, the fact that they wouldn't stand for that, it's like it was interesting that the hockey players got more sort of unilateral response from Democrats and Republicans alike, but a woman who was killed by a man who was a career criminal let out so many times that they couldn't even stand for a grieving mother. And
yes,
shows you that contrast.
Yes, that's all true, and thanks for correcting me on the hockey team. I forgot. There were so many times that they should have stood and they didn't. I got that wrong.
This was my favorite. Listen, you mentioned the Somali thing. I want to tell you, who was the guy who used the term Somali pirates for the people who were stealing money in Minnesota? Nothing made me laugh harder than when Donald Trump said this. Hold on.
The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota.
I've been calling them the Somali pirates for weeks now. And then Donald Trump gets up there and says,
the Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota.
It was the best.
Yeah, and then he talked about how, eliminating the billions in fraud in Minnesota and other places.
And balancing the budget.
Yeah, we're going to pay off the budget. And I also love the admonition that he gave to the Supreme Court justices. I thought he did that really well.
That was so smooth. It was so smooth.
And it wasn't over the top. He basically let them know they made a wrong move, but that doesn't matter because I've got other ways to solve the problem. And, they're time-tested, and you're not going to be able to screw with those methods. But calling them out while they were sitting, and the looks on their faces, they were so disgusted.
But you know what? He did it. He took it like a champ. He said, it was crazy because to him, he's saying, talk about going against the interest of the United States. Those tariffs were not about Trump. Those tariffs were about Americans. And he couldn't believe that the Supreme Court couldn't see through the politics and see the importance of those tariffs. But then, you know what? The workaround is brilliant. He's got a great team around him that just says, you know what, President Trump, it's not a big deal. Here's our workaround. And that's what he did. And he did it with grace where he didn't even have to throw them under the bus.
Right. And then the Europeans, I love the fact that he told everybody that the Europeans actually want to stand pat with the tariff agreements they already have because the new power he has would be worse for them.
Exactly. Which in essence only shows that everything he did was measured in the first place. Let me grab some others here, man. Thank you so much. Let me go. Simsbury Joe's in the house. How are you, sir?
Hi there. So actually, when that tariff thing was first announced, I was just out of my mind angry. But it was actually a very good decision.
Yes, it was.
And it was good because it locked future crazy Democrat presidents from doing certain things that could destroy this country.
Right.
So it was a very shrewd decision on their part. And Trump knew he was going to lose even before they went in front of the court that day.
Yeah.
So he already had it in place. But so the first thing I want to say is I think it's probably fifth grade, maybe sixth grade, that every single person listening who was born in America and went to United States schools probably got a very similar question to the one that Trump posed last night. And if it would have been a true or false question, most likely, and we would have all gotten it wrong if we answered the way the Democrats did. So when you talk about the level of ignorance, there is no excuse. When you look at the specific words that Trump used, there is no workaround. There is no excuse. There is no politics.
That's right.
And I've already heard Democrats saying, oh, well, in the State of the Union, people don't stand. It's like, no. Historically, the opposition does not stand when they have a policy disagreement.
That's correct.
And that is accepted. that question was not a policy disagreement.
That's
that
right.
question is at the core of the preamble of the Constitution.
Exactly.
As to what the duty of the United States government is.
Mm-hmm. It was Civics 101. It was Civics 101. Any social studies kid, as you said, what did you say, the 5th grade? I'd have gone 3rd grade. Would have to get that answer right. American citizens come first. And again, what's the core of all of that, Joe? The core of all of that is you are a United States representative. It's in the job description.
And your job is to uphold the Constitution.
Yep.
Of the United States. That's when you put your right hand up, that is exactly what you are swearing to. But there were a couple of other ones. So for those people that are like, oh, Trump was trying to play them, and they were playing them back and making whatever lame-ass excuses they're going to make. there were Bill just mentioned the Ukrainian situation.
Yes.
Which is absolutely beyond filthy, disgusting by the Democrats.
Yep.
But I'm going to mention 2 others. Because these are not policy. Well, one's policy, but the first one, they did not stand for the 56% reduction in fentanyl coming across the border. What excuse do you have to not stand because we reduced the amount of drugs killing Americans?
That's right. Which only leads...
That is so unacceptable.
Listen to me. What you're saying, listen to me. That only dovetails into the whole question about standing up for Americans first. So in essence, they were right. They were aligned, right? So you 56% reduce in overdoses, and whether or not you stand for Americans over illegals, if anything, that's the Democrat platform.
Well, the other part of the Democrat platform was they didn't stand when Trump talked about parents need to be notified so that schools cannot transition their children.
That's right.
And I've called up before with regards to the vaccines, and I said, if the government can put stuff into the bodies of your children, they are not your children.
That's right.
So if you're a Democrat voter and you're looking at, the people who represent us, whether it be Congress or Senate in the state of Connecticut, and they did not stand for your right to know that your child is going through something and they're going to be transitioned by people other than you and your spouse, if you have a spouse, or if you're a single parent, you cannot vote for these people.
Yep.
These people have told you, you are not the parent. We are the parent.
That's right.
And it doesn't stop with that.
If anything, you know what? It's so wild that you say that. Like, not only it's what they're saying to their so-called constituents. You are not the parents. We're their parents. And we also don't see you as the people we represent. That's the scary part. Again, if the contrast is, and people have been asked this all the time, what do the Democrats represent? The core of that is, as you just put it, without parents' consent and whether or not they stand for representing Americans over illegals. If you can't stand for either one of those things, you are sending a clear message that, 1, parents don't have rights, and 2, that Americans are not being represented by them and illegals take precedent. If that's going to be the case of who they are, and they can't spin, you can spin it 1,000 different ways, but you can't. But the bottom line, if that's who they are, I say it speaks volumes. And you tell me, Joe, if you thought of it the way that I did when I heard it. If you're an average Democrat voter, not the radical people who get paid to show up at protests, the average Democrat voter, if I'm selling you that scene in a campaign ad, that when Donald Trump asked if you're more important than illegals and they don't stand, don't you think that sends a message to the average voter that everything that they believe their entire life, that representatives don't represent them? He said, literally, he makes that claim. He makes that case to them.
Well, the one thing I'm going to say about that, Reese, is you and I both have the same fantasy that the Republicans will use that in campaign ads.
Yeah.
And over and over and over, I see Republicans not use the things that they need to use to blank slap people across the face who have not been exposed to this, who may be like, I'm not watching Trump.
Yeah.
Well, then you need to put that in an ad, and I guarantee that most people who are running for Congress in the state of Connecticut, for example, they will never put that in an ad.
Yeah,
I don't know
100% right on that.
Them. You know, you're dealing with simpletons. If someone's going to support Democrats these days, they're a simpleton, then you need to make it simple for them.
Yeah. I think this is a they-them ad, just like Donald Trump did with Kamala Harris. I really do believe that this
should be, but I don't think people are going to use it.
Listen, enough people are talking about it. I kind of feel the Trump administration doesn't really follow like the way the wind blows. But, I mean, you might be right on Connecticut. But you know what? You know me, I'm going to probably pressure every Republican I can get my hands on and shake them like I can and just go, you need to be using this. Because it is evident. And you have to put these people on notice. You have to go to every single one of them and say, listen, do you stand with the Democrats? Or in this case, sit with the Democrats. That your job is first and foremost to the American people before illegals. Every person should be asking that if they get within. I mean, I'm going to ask Josh Elliott when he gets here on Tuesday. When he comes here on Tuesday, that's the first question I'm going to ask him. And if he dodges it, but you cannot be governor of this state. You can't. You can forget about it. You might as well hand it over to Lamont. So he's going to have to people on the Democrat Party are going to have to separate themselves from that visual we all had last night.
Yeah, we'll see. I continue.
I know.
I have great blood pressure, but if they ever hooked me up during some of these things, boy, it would be off the charts. They'd be admitting me immediately.
Joe, you're going to be all right. Just ride with me, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Soon I'm going to have a self-driving Tesla. You can ride with me then. Then you could be on edge.
Okay. We'll put our feet up on the dash.
You got it, buddy. All right, man. Let's go Jim in Waterbury real quick. Jim, what's going on, sir?
I'll try to cut it short. Yeah, when they wouldn't stand for the highly decorated man who had five tours and who was shot multiple times before he got everybody out and was bleeding, they are nothing but a bunch of communists, as I call it in the Marines, maggots.
Well, wait a minute. Now, are we talking about Captain Royce?
Master Chief, who flew the helicopter.
Oh, yes. That is that gentleman. Hold on, I have his name here. He was the goodness gracious. I can't even. I totally missed his name here on the list.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Oh no, that's Eric Slover. Eric Slover. He was the Army Chief Warrant Officer.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Another quickie. I was listening to Eric Aronson, and he was saying that the expatriates are getting ready to go back to Cuba because we've been sending arms, and with all the embargoes and stuff, he says they may fall within weeks. And he was saying the best way to tackle Iran, the expatriates will go back, we help them rebuild Cuba, then we keep the pressure on Iran because there's two armed factions over there who outnumber the Ayatollah, and then they'll fall.
Do you think Donald Trump strikes in the coming days?
I pray he does. I pray he knows about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Donald Trump is the type of guy that when no one's looking and when everybody's distracted by something silly, and he knows how that news media cycle is, when they immediately attach themselves like a dog with a bone, he's over here in the other direction doing something else, and then that's the thing that they're not only. I'll tell you why they're always outraged. They're outraged because he pulled a fast one on them, and because they can't keep up.
Yeah, but we've been sending these people in Iran, these two groups, arms, something like 20 years.
Yeah,
indeed. And they outnumber the Ayatollah and his men.
Like I said, I'd like to see that regime change. I know that this administration is not into regime change, but they have become incredibly hostile, and at this point, they become quite rogue, and I don't think they need China or Russia to do that, so something's got to be done. I think this is the president to do it. I got to take a break, but thank you, big guy.
We could help Iran and won't have to fire a missile.
Damn right. Would that be perfect. Thank you, buddy. I'll take a break. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views, and we'll take more of your phone calls. Of course, stand by for that. When we return, it's Reese on the radio.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
Well, I just received some horrible news. We will not be having our guest today, Cara Pavlock D'Amato. She unfortunately has a very serious issue she has to take on personally, and I wish her all the best because, well, I'm not going to put her business in the street, but trust me, it is a very important issue she has to deal with. And I just got an email from her because we were only corresponding through email, and I didn't see it, and it happened about 30 minutes ago, so she had to cancel. And from what I can see, yeah, it's good. I told her to take care of that. Get back to me when you can. We'll have her on at a later date. So that's unfortunate. I'm sorry that she couldn't be here, and I apologize for those of you who are looking forward to her. But, you know, life happens, so you have to adapt. That's okay. We got plenty of news and plenty of views to get into. Of course, we got Stupidest Thing I Read Today. We got music news. Also, I've got an incredible story that I can't wait to share with you because it is, again, something I knew it was going to come to light, and it did. You may have missed it, but we'll talk about that as well. And I get to go back into an old treasure trove of stories because, of course, more and more details are coming out about it. Since we have the time and Carol will not be here, I want to play a couple more sound bites for you about last night's State of the Union. And, you know, there were a lot of people who were trying to play this off like Donald Trump only alienated the American people in this speech. They couldn't be more wrong. And here's the best way to put it. CNN saw that this was going to be a problem for Democrats. So they haul out David Axelrod, who's supposed to be the guru of all this stuff. And he said this very early on before any of the numbers, any of the polling came in.
Well, he also basically kept control of himself, which I think will be a great relief to his strategists and aides there. But the question, I mean, I think he did well from their perspective for the reasons that you say, John, and he used the gallery very skillfully to kind of simulate empathy, which is a thing that he's been lacking, and that's sort of a surrogate for that. The question is, he started off the speech by saying, this is the turnaround for the ages. And as you know, because you're traveling around the country, people don't think the direction is right. And I don't think this cured that.
So here it is, David Axelrod, again, CNN's guru, you know, the Obama whisperer, telling you soon after, we've got insight into this. We're talking about a newsroom that rarely gets out of its own shell. And when they do, they completely lie to you. You know, fiery but peaceful. But, of course, it didn't take long before everything David Axelrod said was thrown into the fire of a BLM protest.
Among speech watchers tonight, 64% say his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. And look at the growth President Trump made over the speech. So pre-speech, it was 54% of speech watchers said his policies will move the U.S. in the right direction. After the speech, that number goes up 10 percentage points. So Donald Trump made some progress with people watching the speech from their pre-speech expectations to what they saw in the speech itself.
That's right. From a positive 54% to an even more positive 64%. They didn't expect that, but then again, why would they? But if you really want a telling, folks, if you really want an understanding of what the radicals in the Democrat Party wanted of their constituents, the ones who sat down, who didn't applaud. Go no further than the cackling sister girls, who all sent out a memo. They sent a memo out to each other how to treat the most important part of this speech outside of patriotism. It was celebrating Americans, those who had sacrificed, sometimes giving the ultimate sacrifice, and honoring them. People like retired Navy Captain Elmer Royce Williams, Army Chief Warrant Officer Eric Slover, Connor Hellebuck, the USA hockey team goaltender, Scott Ruskin, the Coast Guard petty officer who rescued the young girl who was sitting next to him in the State of the Union, who saved not only her but some 164 people from the floods in Central Texas. Roseanne and I drove through the devastation of that. It is far worse than you saw on television. The Purple Heart was given to Sarah Beckstrom and Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, both who were shot in D.C. They were West Virginia National Guard members. So when you see that and you hear the cackling sister girls say something like this, you know that the word has gotten out.
I was there, and it was as horrific as I thought it would be.
Did you like that?
Absolutely.
It was like an award show. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal.
You get a medal. You get a medal. People who serve their country. The cackling sister girls, ladies and gentlemen. That memo obviously got to Abby Phillip over at CNN. She was asked to give her analysis, and for some odd reason, she used the same term.
He utilized almost like these game show type moments where you're seeing awards being presented to really bring these moments of togetherness that otherwise might not have been there.
That otherwise would not have been there. Simone Sanders says that Team USA, the hockey players, were used. How dare they be used? Another sister girl who says that I'm pro-USA. Are you?
No one is against USA in our athletes, in our Olympic athletes. They should not be being used as political props, though, and frankly, allow themselves to be used as political props. And I think that is going to be the question and the discussion going forward. It is very clear.
No, it's not. It's not going to be the question going forward. Do you really think that people are going to stop their day to find out whether or not, why would the U.S. hockey team at the State of the Union, that's going to be a question going forward? You couldn't be more vapid to believe that.
Why the president did this, what is unclear to me is why the men's hockey team allowed themselves to be utilized in this particular fashion.
Utilized. Their pro-American stance, their celebration of the United States. I mean, that's what the Olympics are about, right? Representing your country. Are these people too stupid to realize what the Olympics is all about? I mean, if open borders were the thing, there'd be no Olympics. There'd be no use for them. There'd be no use for the competition, because that's another thing they don't like. Competing against one another. Everyone's the same. No one's a winner. There should be no gold, no bronze, no silver. Not necessarily in that order, but you know my meaning. That's the way that they see it. Imagine that. They would allow themselves to be utilized, Sister Girl says. They're just so dumb. Sad and dumb. But dumb nonetheless. This is the typical sister girl, African-American female, even males for that matter. They do the same thing, stepping and fetching for their white overlords who tell them what to say so that the white folks don't have to say it. Sister girl, go on out there and say that. These sister girls, they're all part of the Motisa tribe. You ever heard of the Motisa tribe, Roland? You ever heard of that tribe? You never heard of the Motisa tribe? Never heard of the Motisa tribe? Hold on, let me show it to you. This is the Motisa tribe.
Jesse, did you know that this man is the last surviving member of the Motisa tribe? Yes, the Motisa tribe. I'll show you. Motisa? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Motisa? No, thank you.
Motisa? You want some Motisa? They all part of the Motisa tribe. Oh, man. Bonus points for anyone who knows what movie that's from. And you, Rama, you can't play. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to play this game. Only Rama knows exactly what movie this is. You're not allowed. You're out of the game. Anyway, we'll come back. We got more news, more views. And, I wish that I wasn't right about this stuff, but of course I'm going to be. We'll tell you the most interesting thing that just came out of a lawsuit to get some FOIA information out of the federal government and the Biden administration. More documents have been revealed, and what came out of it is something we always knew was there. Stand by. We'll get to that. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Simsbury Joe was talking about this particular line, and this is also very important because Jake Tapper obviously, visibly on CNN was shook by this, but it did not land as a news anchor because his outrage made no sense. You cannot respond to this and say, I can't believe that Donald Trump called the Democrats crazy. Yeah, why? Because you're going to have to dive into why he called them crazy. You can say it all night. He was calling the Democrats crazy. Yeah, really? What happened? Then you got to play the quote.
No state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy. Amazing. Governor. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we?
Again, like I said, standing there trying to be stoic doesn't serve them anything. I know that people said that, Hakeem Jeffrey said no shenanigans, don't stand up and be raucous, don't pull a stupid stunt like Al Green always does. Al Green, you know what I find ironic? Let me say this to you just so you understand how I feel about this. It is usually a dumb idea when the hairiest member of Congress holds up a sign that says black people are not apes. Hey, stupid. Who thinks that? Who's the person who thinks that? You're the biggest dummy to ever stand around with that. Say, no one thinks that, ever. No one has ever thought that. It's usually the people. Ask the people over at the World Health Organization why they got rid of the word monkey in monkeypox. Ask them why. Because the World Health Organization thinks the word monkey is synonymous with blacks. And they didn't want anybody to be confused. You're the only person who thinks that black people are apes, my friend. You're the only person. On a dumber note, can we get rid of this guy as far as being an elected official? I went to go look up this guy's record and see if he actually sponsored any bill, wrote any bill in office. Do you know what this guy has done since 2005, since he's been in office? 2005, folks, 20 years. You want to know what this guy's responsible for? Try this on for size. Post office names. He gets post office names for prominent people in his district. That's the legislation he signed. He is a part, it's never signed or ever authored one major bill. Want a renaming of a post office? Al Green's your guy. And that guy's been there for 20 years. Keeps being reelected because somebody in Texas is going, if I can just keep him elected, I will get that naming on a post office. Just keep him elected. This guy's a bum. That's what we call black excellence. Stop kidding yourself. We don't need this guy to be sitting in office. For what? Seriously, what does he do? What's he do? He's a joke and a clown. Let's take our first break. We'll come back. We got another clown that's back in the news. And, of course, she's done exactly what we thought she'd do. Mark Christopher is getting you home. For those of you leaving early, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. It's Reese on the radio.
And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. We'll be talking about new evidence that has emerged about the Biden administration. Now, I know there are a lot of people who say, it's like, Reese, are we still rehashing the Biden administration? Yes. Because unfortunately, what was done under the Biden administration was criminal. And this is not a let bygones be bygones, you won. Because you have to understand that if this is allowed, it's allowed to continue. So we'll get to it. And with all due respect, I need you to understand something. No one gives a good gosh darn about whether or not you're over it. No one cares if you're over it. To me, and I have to say a legion of others, retribution must come for lies, division, wars with family. All of that happened under this administration, and we're coming back. And there will be retribution. There must be. And as my mother used to say back in the days, we are going for the old and the new. And if you played a role in it, you have to be exposed. And this is another example of it. And when I read it to you, you're not going to give me this whole, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. It's everything you ever believed about conspiracy theories and the federal government and what power can do if unchecked and who they used in order to do it. Also, did you know that there's a new Republican governors of Connecticut poll? At least the candidates. There's a new poll out. Did you hear anything about it? Anybody talk about it? Well, I have the numbers. We'll talk about it when we return. And it was exactly as I predicted would happen. We'll talk about that when we return. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher's getting you home. He's at the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Are we getting snow again, even after this snow? We have one more snow coming?
I've lost track. Just plan on it every day. Plan on bringing your shovel and gassing up your snowblower
Don't
every
even
day.
put it in the trunk. Put it in the back seat so you're quick access, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Shovel out the door.
That's right. Good Lord.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. And is there something going on in my chat room, or is it just dead? Maybe nobody's listening anymore. It can happen. We'll get into that polling data for the Republican candidates here in Connecticut in a second. But in a story that I didn't think was going to come back anytime soon is in the news anyway. Well, at least it's on just the news. It has not reached regular news stations yet. I don't know why, but this is big, at least in my view, which means it brings us back to Reese on the radio's favorite drama right here on WTIC. The ongoing saga, or is it saga, of Willis and Wade. That's right, they're back. They are back. I cannot believe that they are back. Try this on for size. Just the News is reporting this. It's the headline. The Fani files. Georgia prosecutor plotted Trump case closely with the Biden DOJ and the January 6 Democrats, according to John Solomon and Steve Richards. Fulton County DA Fani Willis and her team ran a 2-year-plus investigation that produced a racketeering indictment against Donald Trump and 18 others over the 2020 election challenges in Georgia. Newly released internal records, 8,000 pages obtained through the open records litigation by Just the News and America First Legal, show that Willis's office maintained unusually close ongoing contact with the Biden White House, Biden's DOJ, and the Democrat-led House January 6 Select Committee while building that case. The coordination went far beyond routine interagency sharing. Willis was later disqualified by a Georgia appeals court for an odor of mendacity tied to a personal relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Wade. The case was formally dropped in November of 2025 because a sitting president cannot realistically be tried in state court. Here are the key talking points of this piece. Nathan Wade was Willis's outside special counsel. He billed Fulton County $2,000 for an interview with D.C. White House on November 18th of 2022. We found out in later documents that Nathan Wade did not go to Washington for that meeting. We were wondering, when did Nathan Wade go to the White House? Shouldn't we know that in their, visitor log? It wasn't there. We then found out through other records that Nathan Wade had met with the White House DOJ in Augusta, Georgia. How do we know this? Because the bozo, Nathan Wade, who was nickel and diming Fani Willis's office for anything and everything, documented the meeting. An absolute moron, and we applaud him. The Biden White House waived executive privilege to help Willis. In September of 2022, a letter from Biden's special counsel Richard Sauber to Willis deputy F. Donald Wakeford explicitly waived privilege for former Trump White House officials testifying before the Georgia's grand jury. Sauber stated rationale. He said the January 6 events threatened the principles of democracy. So President Biden determined that asserting privilege is not in the public interest. The waiver covered Trump's effort to investigate the 2020 fraud after results or obstruct the transfer of power precisely to conduct the conduct Willis would later charge. Willis's office filed multiple Tahi requests These are formal demands for DOJ employee testimony targeting former acting AG Jeffrey Rosen, acting deputy AG Richard Donahue, and AAG Stephen Engel. In March of 2022, an email from Wake Forward to Assistant U.S. Attorney Lori Baranek said, quote, "We anticipate that we might have to make a few more talkie requests, though thought it would be beneficial to have a conversation about the process." DOJ responded in May of 2022 that the requests were premature, but helpfully attached congressional transcripts of the same officials. There was an active collaboration with the January 6th committee. On April of 2022, Willis Deputy Michael Hill requested a meeting with Rep. Benny Thompson, chairman of the January 6th panel, which was a question plenty of people were asking. Did Fani Willis coordinate with anyone in Washington about this case, Jack Smith or otherwise? They refused to testify to that. Everyone knew that they did. As most lawyers do, never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. January 6 Chief Investigative Counsel Tim Heapy replied the committee would give an oral summary of the witness interviews, allow in-camera document reviews in Washington, and coordinate timing. A Fulton County team traveled to D.C. for the session. Additional document requests followed in August of 2022 and March of 2023. In December of 2022, Wake Forward emailed Heapy praising the January 6th final report. Our initial review confirms you all have accomplished amazing things in the past year. All of this was in coordination with the Biden White House. To suggest he knew nothing about it was not only false, it was just a blatant lie. What does any of that mean, if anything? Hear me out. It means that the White House was pulling out all the stops to put an end to Donald Trump's candidacy in 2024, even coordinating with prosecutors in Fulton County. The documents prove that. It is irrefutable. Now we ask again, or at least I'm going to ask again. If the Biden administration and the January 6th committee, Jack Smith and everybody else was trying to tie a noose around Donald Trump's campaign to keep him from getting back into office, even put him in jail if they could, on a RICO charge. Why not the Epstein files? They had them. They pulled out all the stops. Why didn't they release them? If they had the goods, that was, again, they were doing everything. We told you they were doing everything. You said that they weren't, but they sure enough tried. Letitia James, bogus claim against real estate transactions that have been done for hundreds of years. All of a sudden, illegitimate. They tried to bankrupt him. People actually looked the other way in the news media, knowing damn well that what Donald Trump done, every business in New York had already done time and time again. But they ignored it. They ignored actual case law to find ways around legitimizing Letitia James. Why? Because Donald Trump had to be stopped. Alvin Bragg, 34 felony counts on a paper crime that other jurisdictions had already said wasn't the case, and turned one paper crime, in their view, into 34 counts for the same thing. They didn't pull out all the stops, folks. And they had the Epstein files in their possession. All of it, and never once did they go to them. Did they turn to them? Never once. And guess what? Just like we had Daniel Richman, I was talking about him yesterday, the guy who wrote the op-ed for the New York Times saying that The Epstein files should have never been released. He makes the argument that if it had been released by a competent DOJ, they had one, Merrick Garland, right? They had Biden's DOJ run by Merrick Garland. They could have just said, hey, Merrick, just release the stuff on Trump. Let's create an air of impropriety around the guy. Make people ask questions and just pin it on him. They've done everything else. They've broken every rule under the sun. Right? And they had the press in their hands. They were dragging him into court every day for months in New York City on the Alvin Bragg case. They were giving him mugshot after mugshot, fingerprint after fingerprint. Make him travel anywhere and everything. Make sure you get back to court. Hey, I hear you're off on Wednesday. Remember that famous line by Joe Biden about the debate? Hey, I'll debate you anytime, any place. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Ha, ha, ha. Jokety, jokety, jokety. Everything was being done to him. It was done in everybody's faces. And guess what? They allowed it to happen. They wrote articles that literally ignored the norms. So, they had the goods, yet they didn't use them. Now, all of a sudden, now they're important. Was this a backup plan? Is that what we're supposed to believe? That the Epstein files was a backup plan? If he were to get in office, then when he gets there, then we'll get him. All I'm asking for in this case is just reason. I don't get it. Just somebody's going to have to give me, but I know that you don't. I know you don't have any. There's too much common sense in this conversation. Just too much. Unless I'm missing something, which I doubt. Seriously doubt. We know that they were cheating. We know that they would do anything to keep this guy from office. Because remember, he was a threat to democracy. It was a threat to everything we know. I mean, the world was going to turn upside down. It would be World War III if this guy gets in. The norms, there would be slavery, anarchy. Gay people would be hung and killed. Remember all that? That was what was going to happen if this guy became president of the United States. The norms were over. Look at Chris Murphy. He's anywhere and everywhere screaming about the sky falling every day. By the way, Chris, why is it that when the sky falls, nothing hits you? But he's screaming and hollering about that, and it never happens. It never comes to fruition. And they've got all the goods that they can use, and nothing. Still nothing. You notice that Chris Murphy said that Donald Trump was at the center of the biggest child trafficking ring? And he said it once, and now he's no longer saying it. Like he is not out on the stump saying it anymore. Why do you think that is? Why is he not out saying that anymore? He said it once, hasn't said it again. With all the things he could say about it, come on, let's be honest, folks. That's the line, right? Even some of the people at the State of the Union was screaming out a little bit. Did you hear them? I heard them. Right? That's supposed to be a death sentence, right? But yet Chris Murphy says it once, never utters it again. You think somebody got to him? You think somebody nudged him and said, hey, psst, buddy, aren't you getting divorced? Is the wife getting half? You keep jibbing. You keep running your jibs, buddy. You may have nothing. Donald Trump could sue you so bad, your wife's got half of nothing to take from you. If I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't run another line like that again. I thought Chris Murphy was a little desperate when he said that, too. I thought he wanted attention so bad. He was saying to himself, please notice me, Donald Trump. Please, please notice me. Donald Trump probably did notice him. Probably sent one of his goons over, as Donald Trump would do. Hey, you that Murphy guy, right? Yeah. Hey, take a seat there, chum. And you have a conversation with you. So I understand you went to Texas. You're talking a little reckless about the big guy. Yeah. Listen, We're not the type of people to break thumbs or ankles or anything like that. We break banks. We break bank accounts. We understand yours is, a little shaky, a little shaky there. So what do you say? You talk about the president all you want, but you say anything reckless that you can't back up. We see to it that you can't provide. You know what I mean? In a financial way. Okay? We make sure that every time you get a check, it goes to the big guy. Huh? And he'll use it for something, I don't know, important. Like around the Gulf. All right? Okay, you take care. All right? You have a good one. All right? That's how I would have done it. That's just me. They call him a mob boss. Don't they say that? Don't they say Donald Trump is a mob boss? I'd give them what they want. That's just me. You have a good day, Toots. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC. News Talk 1080.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Stupidest thing I read yesterday, frustrated residents across Honolulu and beyond are pushing for drastic measures against exploding populations of feral chickens that crow at 3 a.m. They dig up yards and scatter feathers everywhere and aggressively peck at children in parks and at schoolyards for food. Complaints surged 51% in 2025, with flocks multiplying rapidly during the COVID-19 years as people released pet birds or fed them in public spaces. Trapping efforts have proven expensive and ineffective, costing hundreds per week with limited success. So, they've decided on a new bill, House Bill 1852. It would explicitly allow residents to dispatch these birds themselves, including the old school neck breaking, while another proposal labels them as a controllable pest on public land and fines people for feeding or releasing them. Lawmaker Representative Jackson Sayama bluntly stated that breaking a chicken's neck is perfectly fine if needed, reflecting growing exasperation. Cultural advocates note the bird's Polynesian heritage as moa brought by ancient voyagers, but many locals have had enough of the noise and the mess. Now, only reason why I have a problem with this, going out you yourself and wringing the neck of a chicken. For me, you ever heard the term taste for blood? I don't know if people are comfortable with wringing the neck of a live chicken. I know farmers do it. I know that there are some farmers who do it. And by the way, if you are a farmer, help me understand if this is a job for just the average person to do. I have a strange feeling that once someone wrings a few chickens' necks, they become a little too comfortable with this idea. In my head, I just see this as a road to ruin. You ring a couple of them and you start thinking of others. Some people who noise you in the neighborhood and you can see yourself, I'm just wondering how. I know there's some people out there, like people that you become desensitized. I know people do this all the time. I know there's some well-adjusted people who would go out in their lives and just, cut chickens' heads off all day and then go out in the world and be perfectly normal. But I would find them odd if someone had told me, if I was just, kind of just having a conversation. Hey, what do? I cut chickens' heads off. I would be a little cautious about them and their mental state. Oh, really? That's an interesting profession. It's just me. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Yeah, I want to make mention of the fact that, yes, our guest had to cancel. She had an emergency to deal with, and that took priority. So we will hear from Cara D'Amato when she is figured all of that stuff out, and she'll be back on the program. Tomorrow we also have a guest, and forgive me because I should have had that on my list, and now I need to correct this, my mistake here. The guest that we're going to have here tomorrow is, and I'm forgetting her name now, Dawn Matos. Is going to be on the program tomorrow. She'll be here at 4 o'clock, and we'll talk to her about a host of things. She was also very active in John Flynn's case. He was a guest here last week when he was locked up in the Whiting facility. She'll talk about that and everything else she's got going on, from DCF cases and a whole bunch of other stuff, House Bill 5044, and all those things. She's a local activist here in the state, and she's got her hands deep in everything. She also got another case that she's dealing with. I'm not going to get ahead of her on that one because I think she wants to talk to me about that later or off the air, so I don't want to say anything about it yet. But I'll tell you the details when she gives me permission. But she'll be here in studio, sitting right across from me on tomorrow. Also, gubernatorial on the Democrat side, Josh Elliott is going to be on the program on Tuesday. We'll talk to Kim about his campaign, how his fundraising is going. He has talked about very little in this campaign, of course, because of Governor Lamont and his sort of front-runner status and his polling data suggesting he is the fourth most popular governor in the country with 63% approval. Speaking of polling data, let me get to this real quick. So as you might recall, a couple of weeks ago, Aaron Stewart put out a favorability poll, or at least what 300 voters had suggested who was the front runner in the Republican primary. And Aaron Stewart came out on top by double digits. This prompted me to write a Substack about that. No coronations, in essence, was the point of that Substack, and which was very popular, well received. What was supposed to be understood as, look, we are going to let the people decide on this race. It is not about notoriety. It is not about legacy. It is about policy, which is the core reason why we're holding this debate in April, at the end of April. It is for people to make a decision without all the infighting, no slapping each other around, no damage to the party, no damage to each other, to fulfill Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, to focus our energy on the opposition, which is the incumbent, Ned Lamont. But since we're going there, because I can't control things that are out of my control, new polling data is out. And I told people this was going to happen after the Aaron Stewart thing, that people were going to see that poll, see how early it was, and there was going to be a response. Well, here's the response, folks. On the Republican side, State Senator Ryan Fazio is the most popular gubernatorial candidate among likely Republican primary voters. 42% have a favorable opinion of Fazio. 16% are neutral. 3% have an unfavorable opinion of him. And 39% do not know enough about him to say. Fazio's net favorability rating among likely Republicans is 39%. Over, I guess. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's Aaron Stewart, or is that? I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing here. Oh, yeah, 39% say they don't know enough. Anyway, for Aaron Stewart, favorability, that is at 40%. It's a 2% deficit. Now, again, remember, Aaron Stewart's poll had her double-digit leads over Ryan Fazio. Now that is, in essence, flipped, according to this poll. Here's where it gets a little dicey. And again, this is what I always call an enforced error. Because Aaron Stewart has a 40% favorability, and she's got a 5% neutral. A 22% unfavorable to Ryan Fazio's 3% unfavorable. Now, I've talked to people behind the scenes who have said that that was bound to happen. For what reason, I don't know. Well, that's not true. Let's just say, not that I don't know if it's true. I just know what they tell me. And that's the reason why this thing has to be done the way it's going to be done. Or else it is going to be a bloodbath. Mark my words. This is going to go back and forth because you're almost forcing the tide on either side here. Now, Betsy is the person who is in, I guess, the most dire situation. She's got a 14% favorability, 31% neutral. She, on the other hand, only has a 4% unfavorable, which is good for her. She's got a 51% they don't know who she is to have an opinion. She's got a lot of ground to cover, but again, it's the end of February, early March. She's got a lot of ground to make up, but she's got a considerable amount of time to do it. She is pounding the pavement. She hasn't done a couple of videos in a while, but usually her team gets one out, I want to say once, maybe twice a week. So she's going for the gusto. I think she's going to see that favorability number go up as she makes her appearances here and there. But if I could give some advice, I need to give this advice. 1, stop repeating your message verbatim. Candidates, you have to learn how to communicate to the people. Do not repeat the story in the same way. There are people who show up who have heard your speech elsewhere, and they're going to hear you say it again. Even Donald Trump switches it up a little bit. This is the reason why in the middle of his speeches, he sort of wings it here and there and talks about this and that. Sure, there are some repeats, but he sort of really opens it up. You know, he changes the tempo. He's funnier. He's off the cuff. Learn to do that. I got to be honest. I've heard from Ryan to Betsy to even Aaron, there's a lot of that canned speech stuff that doesn't work. If you're talking about people, talk about all of them. Do not isolate them with the story about one voter or two voters who you spoke to. This does not work. That story has, and again, your handlers will tell you that stupid thing. Gosh, campaign people drive me nuts sometimes. Whoever is telling you, tell that story again. Stop. You have to have more than that story. You have to have met more people. If you are meeting more people and you are understanding what their plight is or what their concerns are, incorporate the story of the new person you met. If you go to Windsor, ask that person in there if you can share their story. Get that. Put it in the binder. Let's get to that story when we go to our other event in Cheshire. You got to make sure that you are telling a story about someone, and you've got to have it impactful, just as impactful as the other. But if somebody's going to an event when you have to share that message to a wider audience, and somebody's heard it before, people roll their eyes. They check their phones. You have got to be telling stories about everybody. And I know it's great. People think that one story resonates with everyone. It's a dumb idea. I'm sorry, sometimes people can be boring, and sometimes their stories can be. You have got to step up your game. Tell many stories about many people. It shows that you're listening to them. They feel engaged. I learned this a long time ago. When people feel like they're involved, that their story is resonating with you and you are using their story to make a bigger point, you are sharing their whatever issue with the masses. And then somebody out there who identifies with that story, then the magic happens. I cannot believe I have to teach this stuff. Cannot believe it. By the way, every campaign I've ever worked, I had to do this. I had to look at the people who have done it forever, guys who get six-figure salaries. And I look at them and I go, this is a stupid idea. And I know you get a big paycheck, so everybody's supposed to listen to you, but explain to me how this works. And then I run it through them and they just go, well, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. You get paid more money than me. I shouldn't have to. The guy who's, well, I guess that does make sense. It's usually the guy who makes the least money, who's got the best ideas. Because he's definitely on the ground. Six-figure salary guys don't deal with that. They're doing all the pushing and the shoving. No, he can't be available for you, but he can be available for you. He's only got 2 minutes. All right, we got 3 minutes. We got to get to this event. That guy is running logistics. He's not running a campaign. Running a campaign is about the thing that's most important, and that is to get the people to vote for you. How do you get them to vote for you? They must relate. Joe and Simsbury said it. You've got to be talking to them where they are and what are the things that matter to them. Why are you voting for this when you know it's against what you believe is a core principle of your life? You can't be voting for that, and this is why. You got to be talking to them. And then ask them about that. Say to the person, hey, how does this affect you? Tell me your story about how this affects you. You take that story, you make sure that you have it, you remember it, and you say, hey, Jim, your campaign manager, let's put this a part of our package and make sure that we tell this person's story at the next event. People will relate to this. And then you do it again at the next event. Somebody walks up to you and it says, when you told that story about the guy who lives in Windsor, I was feeling it too. I'm having a situation like that too. And then you take her story. You say, do you mind if I share that story on my next? Absolutely. Hey, I was talking to Susan and she heard the story about Jim. You understand that? Everybody feels like they're a part of it. If you're missing that, if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. People vote because they feel like whatever they're going through, be it good, bad, or indifferent, is being represented by the person who's going to be in office. They feel like they had a role in it. Donald Trump said, if I have to bring him up, I'm just going to. But Reagan did that too. It was about you being a part of that message, you a part of that campaign. If you look at it on the opposite side, hear it this way. Why do you think there are certain operatives in the news media who attack MAGA folks or people who support Donald Trump? Is because they understand that Donald Trump is an extension of them, if not the other way around. They are an extension of him. They work in tandem with each other. Trump is them, they are Trump. That's the way they see it. And they can't separate that. What they wish to do is condemn you for being aligned with him, for feeling like you're a part of a movement. They don't have that because they're everywhere. They're everywhere and nowhere. They have no coalition. Campaigns work with coalitions in the sense of regular people feel like they're a part of something bigger than them. And if I can be so crass, can I use a really, really awful sort of analogy? When Michael Brown was shot in Ferguson, Missouri, I tell this story all the time. There were people who lied to the police saying that they saw Michael Brown with their hands up saying don't shoot. When Eric Holder brought the federal government to talk to those same witnesses, some of them showed up with attorneys. And then they admitted that they had lied in their initial conversations with police. When asked why they lied, they said they were watching TV and they saw a movement and they all wanted to be a part of it. That's different, but it's also the same. If people feel like they're a part of something, they'll support it. You have to make them feel that way. Make them feel like your campaign is their campaign, that when you get elected, they're elected too. It's that simple. Anyway, we'll take another break. Let's get some traffic and weather. We got music news coming up. And Mark Christopher is getting you home. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
News. Now, you know, when I just play the short version, then YouTube doesn't alert the whole thing. I have to shorten it. Anyway, today in music news, the 53rd anniversary of the $1 Billion Babies by Alice Cooper. The glam shock rocks band commercial peaked an only #1 album on the Billboard 200, featuring the hits like No More Mr. Nice Guy and Elected, frequently called out in today's retrospective post. 46th anniversary of Against the Wind by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Seger's third #1 album, 6 weeks atop the Billboard 200. Grammy winner for Best Rock Performance, classic rock staple with the title track, And You'll Accompany Me. I don't think I remember that one. 54th anniversary of Pink Moon by Nick Drake, the folk singer-songwriter, on his final studio album. The 34th anniversary of Ooh on the TLC tip by T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili, also known as TLC. It was their debut album 34 years ago that launched them into stardom. Those were the songs Ain't Too Proud to Beg and Baby, Baby, Baby. And a band that I will always love. Every time I hear this album, I get chills. It is the 41st anniversary of Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears, with the song Shout, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and Head Over Heels, which I have to say has got to be, all three of those songs have got to be anthems for the 1980s. You can't beat Tears for Fears. You just can't. Even watching them perform today, I'm still awestruck by them, and I love their voices as well. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Mark?
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Let me see if I can find this audio, or at least I can set it up for you. A perfect example of what I said earlier is, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump set the best trap. And the left, especially the news media, can't get past it. And it's so evident that they can't. Here's a perfect example. Andy Beshear, governor of North Carolina, asked on CNN the obvious question you have to ask. Hey, if you were there, would you have stood up?
You know, there was this moment during the State of the Union address where the president asked members to show support if they agreed with the statement that the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens and not those in the country illegally. Many Democrats did stay seated for that. Look, it's not typical the opposition party stands and claps for every moment, but on that line, would you have?
No, he's right. Typically, not every candidate stands for every line. As Simsbury Joe brought up, policy aside, this is not a policy issue. Do you stand and affirm that the American citizen is more important than the illegal? It's not policy. It's your duty. He knew it. Trust me, listen, this is one of those things where Donald Trump knew what was going to happen. And what's one of the lines I always say here on the show? The line is, always let history be your guide. You have to let history be your guide. And Donald Trump warned us last year.
I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, and these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what.
They won't do it no matter what. And they, of course, did it. And I know that there was one time when I was actually being exceptionally evil. In a sense that I told a lot of these Trump haters who listen to the show and are in my chat room, I said to them, you are puppets. You just don't know that you're puppets. But then again, does a puppet know that they're a puppet? Of course not. It is easy to string you along. It is easy to get you to react. You're a book. You're read like a book. And the Democrats are. He knew it. He said it last year. And sure enough, you know somebody in his camp said, let's make good on it. We know they won't stand. They hate everything. Now let's put them in a position where they look like fools. So when CNN asked the question of Andy Bashir, they know. Come on, man. How do you not stand? Would you have stood?
You know, there was this moment during the State of the Union address where the president asked members to show support if they agreed with the statement that the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens and not those in the country illegally. Many Democrats did stay seated for that. Look, it's not typical the opposition party stands and claps for every moment, but on that line, would you have?
And he tries to give them cover by saying that. They had a little caveat. They don't stand on everything. This is obvious. This is one you got to stand for. Andy Bashir, possible candidate in 2028? Here's his answer.
The president had a choice last night to speak to the American people or to spar with those in the chamber, to either try to unite our country or further sow division, and that's what he did. Sure, the duty of public safety is critical. It's what I work on every single day.
What? That was sowing division? Now, again, I know that Andy Bashir doesn't even understand his answer. Donald Trump said, stand with him in allegiance that American citizens come first. Andy Bashir called that division. Division of what? It is your role. It is the oath that you take. Why are you confused? To put it on Donald Trump and say that he is sowing division is childish, if not moronic. Is it your duty to put the American citizen first? If you have a problem with that, or if you have a problem with answering it, clearly the answer is no in your view. If you think that as a representative of the American people, duly elected by the American people, you don't see them as the person you should be securing safety or liberty for first, if that to you appears nuanced, why are you doing the job? Do you think that you are to prioritize anyone who crosses our borders and not the people who can elect you? That you see them as one and the same? It is astronomically stupid. But they say it. Chris Alizzo.
I think that's a bad moment for Democrats. While I understand that for them, standing and applauding that message would be, in their mind, kind of standing and applauding everything that has been tied to immigration, particularly over the last few months of what has happened in Minneapolis with Alex Preddy and Renee Good, with the heavy-handed tactics across the country of the Border Patrol and ICE agents. But I think for the average person, again, yes, we need to protect American citizens' rights over people who are here illegally is probably something that you should clap for.
Again, Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. It's 2.0. And they fell for it. I'm hearing nothing from my liberal counterparts because they know that they are sunk in the midterm elections. It was the easiest bait and switch. God, it was bad. And the fact that the left can't stop talking about it, the news media, they know it. They all sat there. It was a Joe Biden moment to them. Oh, you got to stand for that. How do you not stand for that? And if I can, before I take a phone call, let me explain to you why. This is the thing. What is it that you know? If you have any friends that are liberal or, I don't know, ambiguous in their political leanings, the lay person who doesn't do politics, right? The average guy who doesn't vote, right? Thinks the whole process is rigged. What do they say to you all the time? They don't care about us. It's the reason why they're not a part of the process. These people don't care about us. They only care about money. They only care about the money that they get. They only care about the rich folks. They don't care about the little guy. And then Donald Trump puts them right there on Front Street and says, hey, stand with me and say the American people come first over illegals, who these people have seen get thousands of dollars. Housing. The people in Chicago who are going crazy watching their civic centers get closed down for illegals. Boston Logan Airport crawling with people all over the floor, sleeping because they can't find beds for them, making them a priority. The average citizen can't get their bills paid. And then they find billions of dollars being allotted to people who have no skin in the game, who just got here. And then Donald Trump says, do you see them as a priority over the illegals? And you sit on your hands. And you think that's not a campaign ad? You think that that was a winning argument? Do you think your defiance is going to get the American people to go, yeah, sit down. I like being second class. Dummies. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You're not beating Donald Trump. You're beating yourselves. Do you not understand that? You're beating you. It's like spitting in a mirror. And you got set up. And it was so easy because your hatred is just so... Hatred is blindness to you. Your hatred has blinded you. All you see is the person that you're angry about. You don't see what you're supposed to be doing here. People say it all the time. I think the kids use that term, they lost the plot. They lost so much more than that. They don't even know what they're doing anymore. They saw that filled with it. They saw that whole State of the Union as something to be raged about. And that's usually the thing. What do they tell you about your anger? It will be your undoing. And it was. I'm going to take Mark real quick in Windsor. How we doing, Mark?
Hey, Reese. Good to hear you.
What's up, buddy?
And greetings to all the men and women listeners out there. You are right over the target, brother.
Thank you, sir.
So I've said before for years that Democrats have flooded this country with illegal aliens, and they've done it to replace many of us many people who have left the Democrat Party. And I've had these arguments with my friends. Blacks, Puerto Ricans have left the Democrat Party, have been for over a decade.
Wow.
Many of them migrate just into the void and call themselves independent.
Yes,
that's because they recognize the flaws of the Democrat Party, but they're not willing to jump into the Republican Party because they've still on that. Oh, that's the racist party. It's not the racist party.
I think a lot of that, though, Mark, even though they use that term, it's the racist party. Can I tell you, in my view, what it is? I think that there is not a tribalism. I think there's an ostracizing that happens, if that's a word. I think that they're ostracized if they come out as Republican and independent.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, independent is a safe space, you know?
Oh, yep. We definitely are. We get ostracized, and I carry it with a badge.
Yo, me too, man.
I carry it with a badge, and not I am certainly not the smartest person in the room, but I don't listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of politics. I read a lot of newspaper. I read, and I've just seen the trends.
Yeah.
And there's this political strategy I read about that fits exactly what we've seen, and it's called. And today is February. Mm-hmm. Later, sometime in the year, you're going to come back to this. It's called the Robert Clover and Frances. She's a woman, Frances Peven, political strategy. And
I know this.
And you flood the zone with poor people, put them on welfare, and now you cause chaos in the infrastructure. So now you need more programs for poor people. You need more homeless shelters. You need more programs in the school systems.
Right.
And now what I'm doing is I'm taking more money out of Reese pocket.
Right.
And I'm creating a bigger pocket of welfare people. And vote for me. And I told you this before, probably last year.
Yeah.
Years ago, the AFL. A president of the AFL-CIO, probably 15, 20 years ago, gave a speech at a conference, and he said what they need to do is flood the country with immigrants, illegal aliens, and put them on programs, socialist programs, and they will vote Democrat forever, and the Democrats will stay on top forever.
That's right, because, again,
this is what is happening.
Telling them in a socialist way, you want to keep that bread coming in, you got to vote for me. I'm going to take care of you. That's how it's done. Thank you, Buck.
And this is communist, yes.
Yeah,
Have
indeed.
a great one.
Thank you, man. You too. Let me get to one more. Morgan is in Harwington. Hello. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm great. What's up?
Did you see the other event that went on last night that Chris Murphy attended?
You know I was there for that. You're talking about old Chris Murphy. You're a scumbag.
Explain. I couldn't believe that they couldn't even get a room. They're outside in 15-degree weather with all these people, and it's like at least go to the Hilton, at least do something.
Can I read something to you real quick on that front? This is coming from, I guess it's called the Right Angle News Network. They're saying this. Sources close to high-ranking Democrats have revealed a growing internal panic following the party's response to President Trump's State of the Union address, describing their counter-protest and boycott events as a disaster that left them appearing childish and disorganized.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like.
You had people in inflatable frog outfits on stage. I'm like, what am I looking at? This is absolutely insane.
And then, one more thing. I know you have the Republicans, Aaron Stewart, and everyone coming into
the debate. Yes,
the debate. This is old news that you talked about a while ago, but just you got to keep them on it so they sign that they're going to support each other.
Yes.
As the presidential one, you saw that Trump didn't want to be a part of it, but Nikki Haley and Pence and everyone wouldn't support him. They adamantly went against him when they signed that they would support the presidential candidate, even if it wasn't one of those people.
I am going to hold them to that verbally, and you're 100% right. I got to take a break, but thank you, Morgan. I appreciate you, buddy. You got it. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
All right, make sure you do that. Download the Odyssey app if you can't do that. Always go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com or WTIC.com so you never miss a program. Share it with your friends. Tell them how much you like the show. It's always important to grow the brand. That's important to me. Why not you? Just kidding. So, Roland, I did something today. I ran out real quick to go grab a slice of pizza. And I went to the place that, in fact, you told me that they had a $8 or $9 special.
Actually, I said cheese for $5.
Yeah.
It's
$6 now.
Pepperoni for $8.
Yeah, it's $6 and $9 now.
Okay.
So, anyway, I go there to that spot, and I park next to this guy with a Y model Tesla. Black guy gets out, named Brian. And he gets out of the car.
You asked the guy his name?
Of course I did. What? What is so weird about that? I ask people their name when I talk to them.
You only talk to them because you seen the Tesla.
Yes, but I still introduced myself. That's what I do. You never know if you're going to see him again, and then when you see him, I was like, "Hey, Brian, hey, hey, Reese, we know each other. We could become friends."
I'm glad you made it back safe.
Nonetheless, anyway, so I said, "Hey, is that the Y model?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to get one?" I was like, "Yeah." I started talking about the Cybertruck because I always do. Anyway, so he goes, "Oh man, this thing is great. You're gonna love it." And I'm like, I said, "Look, I gotta admit, man, that truck is ugly, but why am I so attracted to it?" He goes, "Dude, it is ugly, and even I love it." And he's like, "Really?" I was like, "You too?" And he's like, "Yeah. You can't not fall in love with it once you get inside." But I love this Y model, he says. "I love this thing." He goes, "Watch." He starts walking towards the grocery store that's also in the strip mall. He starts walking over towards the market, and he pulls out his phone. And he goes, "Watch this." And he starts going on his app. All of a sudden, the lights turn on his Tesla. And then the Tesla starts driving all the way to him to pick him up. Like the Batmobile did in the big Batman movie. Like, you remember when Michael Keaton had the Batmobile just drive up and come and pick him up? Yeah, that's what he did. And guess what? The Tesla recognizes the app on his phone to figure out the coordinates. And sure enough, it just came out of the parking spot and drove right up to him in front of the supermarket while I was standing there. I was sitting up there like a complete knucklehead going, "Oh my goodness." And I'm like, I didn't know it could do that. I mean, it does stuff. I mean, I know the whole.
Man, that's just scary.
Dude.
That makes it even more scary.
I know. But it was like, I know that someone told me it did that, but I thought that was all fantasy. But wasn't that we were that far, but the car drove itself. Just started moving and coming to him. And guess what? Here's the crazy part. It was moving the steering wheel to come closer to him to actually get up to where he is so he could get in the car. He showed it to me. He goes, "Watch this. You're going to think this is cool." I was blown away.
Wow.
I'm like, I have to get one now.
That's taking Ghost Ride the Whip to a whole new level.
Totally. In my head, I don't care. I don't care what model it is now. I'm just getting one.
You just want one.
I just want one. I don't care which one it is. If I can't afford the Cybertruck, I'm just getting one. It's a Y model, X model, C model. I don't care. It's a model trash. I don't care. I'm getting it. Mark Christopher. You know what? In fact, we wouldn't have traffic jams if everybody got a Tesla.
Oh,
Mark
God.
would be out of business, though. Let's get to Mark Christopher. He's the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Mark, you got to test drive one of these things, man.
The Tesla?
You got to do it.
Really?
Yes.
Have you done it?
This guy is in love. This guy can't stop
Really?
talking about it. He's so in love with it.
in love with this car.
I rode in a Tesla for the first time in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago with our Uber driver had a Tesla.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was nice.
You got to you got to do it with yourself and take the family. And I'm telling you, once you do it, you're going to be thinking about it. You may never get one, but you'll be considering it.
You know what? I would definitely buy a hybrid. I'm not sure I'm ready to do all electric yet, but I would definitely buy a hybrid. No question.
Well, I'm looking into that because they say the New England winters you have to really concern yourself with. So I'm doing a whole bunch of research on what the sub-temperature that it won't operate.
Is there a hybrid Tesla?
No. It's fully electric.
Yeah. But I mean, Toyota makes a really good hybrid vehicle. So
who does?
Toyota. Toyota does.
Toyota, yeah. They actually do. They're one of the best models.
Yeah, I agree.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we are almost out of here. We'll get to the phones in a quick moment. Tomorrow's program, we've got a guest on, and of course, I'm supposed to put it in front of me so I wouldn't have to say it, get it wrong. Dawn Matos is going to be on the program tomorrow. I hope I'm saying her name right. I'm probably getting it wrong. She'll be here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We'll talk to her about all the projects she's working on, from the John Flynn story to a host of others that she's been involved with, one that has to do with DCF. That's an amazing story. I'm just reading part of that now. It's this really, really long story about DCF that kept 2 children away from their family for 500 days. It's a harrowing story related to DCF here in Connecticut. We'll talk to her about that and how she was involved in that case, and a whole bunch more when she's on the program. It should be a great day. Roseanne should be here on Friday. She is finally feeling better. She's not under the weather anymore. Can you believe this? Now, Roland, you know that it has been since Monday of last week. I am off of sugar.
Yeah. Sweets. Yeah, I eat no sweets.
I don't eat any sweets or any sugar. I'm like,
no
sugar
soda?
in my coffee. No soda, no nothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't work out today because I didn't have, like, usually before I work out, I'll take like fruit or something. But we failed to go to the store to get any fruit, so I don't work out on an empty stomach. I don't like doing that. Anyway, but usually I go work out, run 2 miles every day. So I've lost a considerable amount of weight, 4 pounds thus far, in about 2 weeks. What's beautiful is now I don't have any back pain. I was having some really, really bad back pain. So Roseanne decided that she was going to join me in the no sugar sort of venture.
How long she lasts?
Day before yesterday. But here's the thing. So it turns out Roseanne out of nowhere started getting these splitting headaches, and her sinus was going like crazy. Sinuses were going nuts. Headaches were just coming. And she couldn't
that's chocolate withdrawals.
Sugar withdrawal.
Yeah.
She was going through it. So she asked me one day to go get her some graham crackers. I did. She's back up. She's fine. All of a sudden, all of the symptoms are gone. And she was like, I can't do the no sugar thing.
Yeah, you can, but you have to be able to get through it for like 3 weeks.
You have to like detox, right?
Yeah, you have to be. I've done that. Happened to me when I
really
because now I cut it down a lot, but
yeah.
I used to have a snack after every meal, so I have 3 meals a day, and I'll have a snack 3 times a day.
Well, is natural sugar the same thing? Because grapes I consider a natural sugar.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same as like sugar, like actual chocolate and candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
because I'll do grapes, I'll do apples, of course, and oranges.
That's supposed to be
natural
like,
sugars.
That's supposed to be like good sugars.
Yeah. So I stick to that. And for her, I kept telling her whenever she was having this, I'm like, eat an apple, eat some grapes.
Yep.
You know, she doesn't want those things.
It took 3 weeks for me to not have headaches and stuff from not having chocolate. Yeah.
Wow.
And then once I went back to it, I said, well, you're not going to do after every meal.
Yeah.
You're going to break it down to just one time a day. You'll have a sugar treat or something like that. And now I'm at the point where I only do it on the weekend. So
I got to tell you, I've never felt better. Like I used to, like the weight was so serious on my back that I would move and I would go, because the weight was putting a lot of strain on my back.
Yeah, wait till you get down 15 more pounds.
Yeah.
Then you really gonna be walking different and you're gonna feel a lot better.
I
noticed that.
I'm
on my knees because when you haven't been this heavy, when you've been in shape for most of your life,
yeah,
then you start getting heavy.
Your knees give.
Yeah, it hurts. Now your knee, you got all this knee pain, and you wondering where it's from. Is because they're not used to your body getting that heavy.
That was so weird.
You got to drop the weight, and then the pain goes away.
2 weeks ago, I was trying to get out of the car, and I put my left foot up, and I was going like I was holding myself to get up, and I was like, why is my knee giving like that? I'm like, oh, it's the weight.
Yeah, you got to get that up off you.
Yeah, but it's working now. Like I feel my biggest problem is my behind is too big. I'm sorry. My butt is just too big. It drives me crazy.
What?
It is. My behind is too big. It's like I got Arsenio Hall butt. It is. It's too big. I see it all the time. I'm looking in the mirror. I'm just like, I've got to get that thing down. It is. I see it. I have a fat person's behind.
It's a red flag.
I'm sorry, dude. I don't mean to be weird. Just telling you that it's there. I look at it every day and it drives me nuts. I'm like, I have to cut down. Now people are going to be looking at me just go, nah, your butt's fine.
Don't be surprised if it get grabbed.
No! Don't make it weird. I'm just saying. Let's go to Mark, who's in Vernon. How we doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm great, sir. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on that gentleman that called just before the news break at 5:30.
Okay.
About his comments about illegals being flooded into the country and then so that they could get their votes. And I'm just going to say that's why we need the Save America bill.
Yeah.
So that we can shut off the voting of these people. And that also explains why the Dems are so off the hook, chain, ridiculous about that bill and how it's disenfranchising this and all this stuff. And like, they're saying stupid stuff and lying about it. And it just explains why.
Can I tell you?
They need those votes.
Mark, give me
they can't get those votes.
Mark,
let
me play this for you because I saved it for just this call. Chuck Schumer was asked by John Berman on CNN exactly the point, which again drives me nuts that this guy in 1 minute articulates that women are not going to be able to vote. But this answer is absolutely insane because it goes right to your point. In essence, with the SAVE Act, he even says it. Thousands of people are going to be taken off the rolls. Listen to Chuck Schumer.
When people are generally asked about voter ID, they're being asked to show an ID when they show up to vote. But what I'm asking you, Senator, because I know you're against the Save America Act, what kind of voter ID could you support? Is there a middle ground?
Look, Democrats support voter ID, and many states do, but that's not what the SAVE Act does. It will purge tens of millions of Americans from the voting lists, and they won't even know they're purged till they show up at the polling place.
Which begs one question, Mark. Which begs one question. How would he know? How would he know?
That was a total rope-a-dope right there.
Isn't that amazing?
Like we see this, like, totally.
Again, and all I need to ask...
We're stupid.
I know. All I would need to ask, my follow-up to Chuck Schumer would be, who are these tens of millions, and how do you know that they exist? You know?
Totally. Like, he would be like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. He would be lost. So, again, and that's the part. It's like, you know, look, there are certain things that, yes, that are knowables, as it were, when it comes to the American citizens. But to suggest that it is a knowable, that tens of millions of people who would be removed from the voter rolls because of the SAVE Act without context makes no sense to me. Tens of millions?
Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're right.
I have to say this. So with that whole statement, what he's really saying is, without these votes, we would lose.
Indeed. That's, you know, again, see, Mark, what you're doing is exactly what I try to preach on this show. Always pay attention to not just what they say, but what they don't. And this is such a perfect example of that. If Chuck Schumer not realizing that there are people at CNN, they'll just take the talking point and go, yeah, that's true. But everyone else with half a brain would go, but wait a minute, that only leads to the obvious. One, how do you know who these 10 million people are? And two, why are you so concerned about them? Because you're under the impression that the tens of millions millions of them vote for you. And my question would be, how do you know that as well?
But, okay, so the other side of this, too, is CNN, whoever asked that question, is also relying on the fact that we're not smart enough to pick up the silence in her questioning.
Exactly.
And which also gives it out to the fact that if I can catch it, how many other people are catching it?
100% true, my friend. Thank you for the call, man. I appreciate you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Tom in Thomaston. What's going on, sir?
Hey, Reese. How are you?
I'm all right, sir. What's up?
Hey, you mentioned earlier the judge saying the odor of mendacity.
Yes.
What a great term. And for the liberals that don't know, that means the Willis case stunk to high heaven.
That's correct.
Yeah, it is such a great term. But, hey, Reese, in the 5:30 hour yesterday, Mo Khanna in the news mentioned that he was proud that England was going after the former Prince Andrew.
Correct.
And it's one thing when your caller says that, but when a member of Congress is not forthright, he's not going after Andrew for the Epstein case. He's going after Andrew for giving up political information to Epstein.
That's correct.
It's totally different.
Correct.
Now, maybe there will be sexual things, but right now, Andrew is only being investigated for giving up state secrets.
That's correct.
It.
And again, that's where, Ro Khanna, in so many ways, is not only disingenuous, but I find him just downright evil. Because this guy, as I mentioned yesterday, had thousands, if not just hundreds of witnesses, or victims, I should say, in the Epstein case. The person he chose to bring last night as his guest is an admitted liar and a recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein. This woman in one breath says that he never touched her and recruited girls, and then when it's been convenient, say he did touch her. Even though most of the interviews she's done, she said, one, he never touched her. When he tried, she told him no, and then he offered her $200 cash for every girl she got for him, and she complied. So in essence, she is was aiding and abetting Jeffrey Epstein, and Ro Khanna, thinking of who can I bring to the State of the Union, brought this woman who is nothing more than the Heidi Fleiss of the Epstein files.
Yeah, it's so disingenuous. I wish there was a reporter that had Nick Shirley jeans and would go ask him point blank about that. It really bothers me.
Yeah, and I thought, again, either Ro Khanna is stupid or he doesn't have a team. He doesn't have a research team, because they would have known. That was the dumb. I'm so glad it did. For him, it did not get a lot of play in the news media, but if it had, it could have sunk him. He would have had to answer to that, because he looks like a cad when he does it. So that's how awful that was. Thank you, boss man. I appreciate you.
See ya.
You got it. Gary's in Southington. We'll make him our last but not least. What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, it was calling. I never get any time. But that's all right. I won't take it personal.
That's all right. Well, call me earlier next time. I know this is probably the earliest you can. What do you got, Gary? Real quick. We got about a minute.
All right. It's not the earliest, but I want two things. So we shouldn't be surprised what Schumer is saying. He's probably right. No, he's probably right about the millions of people that won't be able to vote. He's talking about illegal aliens.
That's right. Oh, no, I don't. In no way do I disbelieve him. I think he's 100% telling the truth.
But he knows that. He knows that part of what he's talking about is illegal aliens, and they absolutely need them.
Indeed. What was the other thing you wanted to get to?
Yeah, just on the Epstein thing. But you notice how, like, everything's about Epstein now, but everybody forgot about nobody cares about the Diddy files with all those Hollywood people. When LeBron James is running around in a bra and all kinds of stuff, nobody cares. It's true. Nobody cares about that. They don't want to even talk about that.
That is really, really true. That's very true. Gary, thank you, boss man. I got to get up out of here. You got it. Oh, as I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Mark Christopher is getting you home. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Good night, Mark.